South Jamaica, baby, they made me to be the greatest. Serving the deed of my creators. Fresh off of my high haters. It's the king again. Magdalene, chauffeured, bragging and boasting.
Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Dollars. Welcome back to the channel. It's another day, another dollar video, and I'm going to be reacting to the top 10 cases too scary for Ed and Lorraine Warren. If you don't know who they are, they basically the real life people that the Conjuring movies are based on, and they were like I don't want to say ghost hunters, but that's what they did, right? They hunted ghosts, and they were demonologists. I think that's the term for them. And this is basically the top 10 cases that was too scary for them. I know that they were involved with the Amityville horror case. They was involved with the Connecticut case, haunting in Connecticut, and then the case that was in the London. I forgot the name of that case, but yeah, man, let's check this out. This is interesting, man.
Well. We are back again with another Ed and Lorraine
My favorite Conjuring
list.
movie was part 1, by the way.
Welcome back, MA fam. We got another Ed and Lorraine list for you, and boy, does this one have a twist at the end you might not see coming. From iconic cases to stories they missed out on, join me as we count down our list of top 10 cases too scary for Ed and Lorraine Warren. Number 10. We're starting off strong with the Devil Made Me Do It case. If you're a fan of Ed and Lorraine, you know this one. The Devil Made Me Do It case is arguably one of the most famous cases that Ed and Lorraine ever worked on. But beyond the supernatural, this case was right in the public eye. Not only were there demons and the supernatural, but the scrutiny of the public eye made this a whole different monster for the Warrens. A bunch of people outside of the courthouse making claims and threats over the case isn't easy to deal with. When 19-year-old Arn Cheyenne Johnson took the life of his landlord and blamed it on the devil, Ed and Lorraine jumped to his defense. They were convinced a demon had entered him after he tried to save his brother from a vicious possession a year earlier. His younger brother was possessed by 43 demons, and Arn commanded that they leave him and enter him instead. The Warrens fell under immense scrutiny, but according to them, the court had defended accounts of God in the past. Now it was time to defend accounts of the devil. But one thing remains strange to me. Arn was never exorcised after the event. Does that mean they are still with him? Number 9. HIGHGATE Cemetery.
As far as that is concerned, I believe that there has been crimes like from people being demon possessed, bro. You know, there's people that are demon possessed and they don't even know it. You know, you could be demon possessed right now and you don't even know it, because demons come in all shapes and forms and all kinds of vices that you don't know. You know, you might have an addiction and it's a sin that is implanted in you that is allowing a demon to be in you and you don't even know. So, yes, I believe that they can take over somebody and make them do something that they otherwise probably wouldn't have done.
Where were they for the vampire hysteria at HIGHGATE Cemetery? Like, where were you? When I learned about this case, I was flabbergasted, and it's weird to me that they weren't there. They've dealt with werewolves, but missed out on vampires completely? The HIGHGATE Cemetery in London, England has some of the oldest graves in the world, making it the perfect breeding ground for ghosts, ghouls, goblins, and vampires. Ooh, it's spooky season. The HIGHGATE vampire case caused a media uproar in the 60s that culminated in two magicians facing off to see who could catch the vampire first. It all started when two girls reported seeing the dead rise from the graves while walking through Swain Lane one night. Soon, animal carcasses drained of blood started turning up. Newspapers had their cameras ready. A massive vampire hunt was organized on Friday, April 13th, Friday the 13th, in 1973. And bodies were even exhumed from their graves to see if they were toothy. Sadly, no one caught anything, but the case still sends a tingle down the spines of vampire enthusiasts around the world. Legends of the demon, though, continue, along with sightings of a crazed old woman and corpses appearing in places they shouldn't be. Number 8. The Bell Witch. I searched the internet far and wide to see if the Warrens had ever visited the Bell Farm, but alas, no. If I'm wrong and I missed something, post a link down in the comments, because I'm not perfect and maybe I missed it. But as far as I can see, they never actually checked out one of the most famous hauntings in the world.
I never heard of
200
this.
years later, the Bell Cave remains an attraction, and many still report hearing a shrill, scratchy voice when no one is around and see orbs surrounding the farm, or where it used to stand. Though the actual events happened well before the time of the Warrens and the farm was torn down, the Bell Cave was still there. If there was any duo who could have proven the tale of the Bell Witch, it was them, but maybe, just maybe, they were afraid of what they might find. Number 7, Michael Taylor. The Michael Taylor case is one of the strangest I've ever come across while doing lists like this, and it certainly needed Ed and Lorraine. The horrifying events of Michael Taylor happened in the 1970s, specifically 1974. A man who was considered a good husband, father, and community man suddenly
went on a
flipped.
rampage.
He began enduring bouts of severe depression and was visiting a 21-year-old pastor named Marie Robinson for counsel. His wife was obviously suspicious, but the sessions were helping. Mary allegedly performed many exorcisms on him to expel the demons. Taylor's wife was getting pretty antsy, and they ended up having a confrontation during which Taylor attacked his wife. It was after this moment Taylor resolved to undergo a full-blown exorcism on October 5th, 1974. During this, Michael had seizures, he spit and bit the ministers, and screamed in tongues. Unfortunately, though, it did not expel all the demons, and Taylor returned home in a rage.
He must have killed his wife.
He took the life of his wife in an incredibly gruesome way, and was later found screaming in the street, naked and...
But if they knew he was like that, right? If they knew he was possessed and he was wild, why wouldn't they inform the authorities and let the authorities know that, listen, this guy's a potential danger to his family? You know, they could have had somebody monitoring him or something, but no, they let him go back home and he ends up killing his wife and kids, I think.
Covered in blood. I don't think the Warrens ever encountered anything as violent, but imagine if they did. Number 6, Richard Gallagher and Julia. Richard Gallagher is a man I find entirely fascinating because his transition from being a man of science to a full-on believer of the occult is, for lack of a better word, insane. Now, obviously,
it's not insane because it's real.
Imagine if these guys collaborated on this case. What? Though, I don't know if Gallagher needed the help. Just saying. The case I'm referring to is when Gallagher encountered a transformative possession. Gallagher became the go-to guy to diagnose people who claimed to be possessed. An Ivy League psychiatrist, he would help those who were mistaking mental illness for something mystical. Julia was the first time he encountered someone he couldn't explain. Julia was the queen of a satanic cult and had become possessed, which she desperately wanted to be rid of. Skeptical at first, but when Richard sat down to talk to her, she knew intimate details about his life.
Did they make a movie about this?
Off the wall, and once during a phone call with the priest, they both heard one of the demonic voices she'd speak in around them, even though Julia was across the country. Number 5, the Thornton Heath.
I need to see more about that case.
It was the 1970s. Thornton Heath, England. Where were the Warrens? Probably busy or too scared to bother with such a terrifying case. It all started one hot August evening when the family living in the house was awoken by their radio suddenly blaring to life. This was just the beginning to a terrible haunting the family would endure for 4 years. Objects would fall or be thrown across the room by invisible hands, you know, all the usual poltergeisty things. One night, the son awoke to find a man standing at the end of his bed, like staring at him with like venom in his eyes. After a bunch,
I ain't gonna lie, that's kind of like one of my fears, is to be waking up in the night. You see how you just wake up for some little dumb shit, or you gotta use the bathroom, and you know, to wake up and you just see something that you're not supposed to see just in your room? I think that would be very scary.
Of startling incidents, they tried to have the house blessed, but it failed. However, a medium did discover that the house was haunted by a couple named the Chattertons who considered them trespassers on their property. The family eventually had no other option but to move out, and the activity has since ceased. But imagine if the Warrens were on the case. Probably would have been solved so much sooner. Or not, who knows?
So you mean to tell me they have other movies they could make, other Conjuring movies? But it probably wouldn't be with Ed and Lorraine, though.
Number 4, the Danny Poltergeist case. In 1998, a woman named Jane Fishman reported strange happenings regarding an antique bed in the home of Al Cobb in Savannah, Georgia. It was a vintage 1800s bed that Cobb bought at auction for his son, a purchase he later regretted. 3 nights after it was purchased, Jason, the son, told his parents that someone was watching him on the bed. He felt cold breath on his neck and saw the impressions of elbows dipping into the pillow. He also noticed the photo of his deceased grandparents lying face down on the dresser, which became a reoccurring event. After he put it back up, it'd fall back out. But then one morning, an assortment of strange objects, including animals made from shells, was found on his bed after he'd already gone down to breakfast. That got his parents and his twin brother's attention. They left paper and crayons out and asked the ghost what his name was. Then later they came back to see Danny 7 written on the paper. After several communications and a smashed terracotta planter, it was clear that Danny didn't want anyone in his bed. The family eventually got rid of the bed, but that didn't solve the problem. Turns out Jason's connection to the spirits went skin deep, and he continued to see things after the event. Number 3, here we go. The Winchester House.
Yeah, they made a movie about the
Winchester
Winchester
on my bucket
House.
list to visit, so it's a wonder to me why the Warrens never checked it out. Again, I googled it, they didn't. Prove me wrong in the comments. I welcome correction, as always. Thank you. But it's essentially a 24,000 square feet mansion with 10,000 windows, 2,000.
Apparently, this mansion has rooms that lead to nowhere because the owner of this mansion was married to the owner of the Winchester rifle, and supposedly it was like a legend that all the souls of the people that were killed by the Winchester rifle would haunt them. So basically the lady got like I think she seen a psychic, and the psychic told her she could never stop building this house because the day she stops working on this house, then she would die and all the spirits will come at her. Some crazy shit.
Doors, 160 rooms, 52
I know they have
skylights,
tours of this
47
house.
stairways and fireplaces, 17 chimneys, 13 bathrooms, 6 kitchens, and cost Sarah $5 million to build, about $71 million today. There are stairs and doors that lead to nowhere, windows that don't open. It's a labyrinth of mystery. Sarah Winchester and her husband William Winchester amassed a huge fortune from their sale of the, you guessed it, Winchester rifle. After her daughter died of TB and William left Sarah a widow, she consulted a medium who told her that she would constantly be haunted by the spirits killed by the Winchester rifle. The house never stopped construction until she died in 1922. It is said the house was built to trap the spirits inside. Today, it's considered one of the most haunted places in the world and is well worth a visit for anyone seeking a scare. So where the heck were the Warrens to debunk this thing? It would have been awesome. Number 2, the Amityville horror case.
Classic.
Obviously, I had to put this case on the list because this case remained the scariest event of Ed
I
and
thought they
Lorraine's
were
career.
affiliated with this
The
case.
monstrosities of the night which roamed that house, which infested it, which caused a young man to murder his whole family.
The events at Amityville, Long Island in 1975 shook the nation and the box office. The Lutz family moved into their dream suburban home with optimism and hope for their life. But little did they know, a year earlier, Ronald DeFia Jr. shot and killed all 6 members of his family, priming the property with evil. The Lutzes didn't know what to make of the swarms of flies, loud, aggressive banging noises, disturbing entities, and even levitations occurring in the home. So they got the hell out of Dodge, leaving all their belongings in the process. When they finally called the Warrens in, George Lutz, the father, who was, by the way, an ex-Marine and karate expert, literally supposed to be fearless, wouldn't even meet them at the house. They met at a Pizza Hut. But as soon as the Warrens began working on the case, they understood why.
The Amityville case affected our personal lives more than any case we ever worked on.
To this day, Lorraine says that this is the case that haunts her the most and said that she hoped this was the close to hell as she would ever get. So if that's not too scary, I don't know what is. And now we are getting to number 1, the Warrens. Demons, poltergeists, and ghosts. It was hard to find a case that the Warrens wouldn't face. They seemed fearless, their love strong enough to withstand all the forces of darkness, or at least that's how the movies told it. It turns out that the real case the Warrens were too afraid of was the horrifying truth of their marriage. Yup, we're going there. If you're a fan of the movie franchise, then you know that Lorraine had a lot of influence on the stories up until her death, but a weird detail in her contact alludes to some nefarious activity in their personal life. Neither Ed or Lorraine Warren could be depicted violating anyone or performing adult acts with a minor. The reason that was in there might have something to do with the case of Judith Penny. Penny stayed with the Warrens as a young woman and allegedly had an inappropriate relationship with Ed, and Lorraine knew about it. Judith made a legal declaration in November 2014 stating that Penny and Ed—
You done ruined the movies for me now, man. I thought their marriage was amazing. You know, that's like the marriage, you know, people strive to have, and damn, bro. Now I gotta look at him different, man. It's messed up.
with the Warrens as a young woman and allegedly had an inappropriate relationship with Ed, and Lorraine knew about it. Judith made a legal declaration in November 2014 stating that Penny and Ed had begun an amorous relationship when he was her bus driver and she moved in with them in 1963. That same year, Penny was arrested when someone noticed the illegal relationship between her and Ed. Why she was arrested and not him remains in question to me, but Penny also stated that Ed was abusive towards Lorraine, saying, and I quote, "Sometimes Ed would actually have to slap her across the face to shut her up.
Wow.
Some nights I thought they were going to kill each other." Lorraine denied the allegations through representatives, and there.
So he had a demon inside him the whole time. He's out here helping people with their demonic cases and saving people and helping them. Meanwhile, he had one in them the whole time, bro.
Still a lot of loose ends, but I suppose whatever happened has already been taken to the grave.
That's
and that
crazy.
was our top 10 list of crazy things about Ed and Lorraine. If you like this video, you know what to do. Like.
All right, man, that's the video, man. Y'all let me know which case y'all find the most interesting, and I definitely want to do some more research on that case that I said. Which one was it? There was a case that I said I wanted to learn more about. But yeah, like, damn, this video just ruined it for me. I thought they had the perfect marriage, and finding that out was like a shocker. But yeah, I'm gonna do a lot more reactions like this. So if you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and subscribe. If you have any recommendations, let me know in the comments. It's your boy. I'll holla.
For my time goes by, they gon' raise a nigga jersey in the sky. Treat a nigga right, big dreaming on my life. Shorty wanna get some air, I go and get her when I fly. Taking off when these niggas are retired. The minute I catch fire, I smoked them all before, just revisiting the high.